Back in 2014, Chicago PD hit our screens and quickly stole our hearts, with intense cases, unforgettable characters, and stories that kept us hooked week after week. From Voight's tough justice to Burgess's rise from rookie to badass, the 21st District became a second home for fans. Now it's 2025. Ever wonder what the cast looks like today? Let's take a look back and see where they are now. Let's get started. Jason Beghe was born on March 12, 1960. In Chicago PD, he played Sergeant Hank Voight, the hard-edged, no-nonsense leader of the intelligence unit, known for his deep voice and morally gray approach to justice. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 54 years old. Beghe's intense performance became the heart of the show and won praise for its emotional depth and grit. After Chicago PD, he appeared in various TV dramas and lent his voice to animated series. In 2025, Jason Beghe is still alive and active at the age of 65. Patrick John Flueger was born on December 10, 1983. In Chicago PD, he portrayed Officer Adam Ruzek, a passionate and impulsive undercover specialist who quickly became a fan favorite for his bravery and complicated relationships. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 30 years old. Prior to Chicago PD, Flueger was known for his role in the 4400. After joining the One Chicago universe, he gained wide recognition and continued acting in both TV and independent films. In 2025, Patrick John Flueger is still alive and thriving at the age of 41. Marina Squerciati was born on August 8, 1981. In Chicago PD, she played Officer Kim Burgess, a determined and compassionate cop who grew from a patrol officer into a key member of the intelligence unit. At the time of filming in 2014, she was 33 years old. Her portrayal of Burgess earned praise for its emotional depth, especially in storylines involving personal trauma and resilience. Outside of Chicago PD, she appeared in shows like Gossip Girl and The Americans. In 2025, Marina Squerciati is still active in the industry and is 43 years old. LaRoyce Hawkins was born on May 4, 1988. In Chicago PD, he played Officer Kevin Atwater, a strong and principled cop known for his integrity, loyalty, and powerful voice within the community. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 25 years old. Hawkins brought heart and depth to the role, often leading some of the show's most socially charged storylines. Beyond Chicago PD, he performed stand-up comedy, spoken word, and appeared in films and theater productions. In 2025, LaRoyce Hawkins is still going strong at the age of 36. Amy Morton was born on April 3, 1958. In Chicago PD, she portrayed Desk Sergeant Trudy Platt, the tough, sarcastic, and sharp-witted backbone of the precinct who offered both comic relief and heartfelt mentorship. At the time of filming in 2014, she was 56 years old. A seasoned stage actress and two-time Tony nominee, Morton brought depth and nuance to the role. Outside of Chicago PD, she appeared in Chicago Med, Blue Bloods, and numerous theater productions. In 2025, Amy Morton remains a respected figure in the industry at the age of 67. Jesse Lee Soffer was born on April 23, 1984. In Chicago PD, he played Detective Jay Halstead, a former Army Ranger turned dedicated cop, known for his calm presence, loyalty, and strong moral compass. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 29 years old. Soffer's portrayal made Halstead one of the most beloved characters in the One Chicago universe. He also appeared in Chicago Med and Chicago Fire. After leaving Chicago PD in 2022, he explored directing and new acting roles. In 2025, Jesse Lee Soffer is 40 years old and continuing his creative career. Tracy Spiridakos was born on February 20, 1988. She joined Chicago PD as Detective Haley Upton, a sharp and fearless investigator with a complex past and a strong sense of justice. At the time of her debut on the show in 2017, she was 29 years old. Prior to Chicago PD, Spiridakos starred in the sci-fi series Revolution and appeared in MacGyver and Bates Motel. Her chemistry with Jesse Lee Soffer's Jay Halstead became a major storyline. In 2025, Tracy Spiridakos is still active in film and television and is 37 years old. Jon Seda was born on October 14, 1970. In Chicago PD, he played Detective Antonio Dawson, a former undercover cop who struggled with balancing his personal demons and his dedication to the law. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 44 years old. Seda had previously appeared in Homicide, Life on the Street and Dream, but his role as Antonio solidified his place in the One Chicago franchise. After leaving Chicago PD, he joined Chicago Justice and made appearances in other TV series. Sadly, Jon Seda's character was written out in 2019. In 2025, he is 54 years old and still active in acting. Elias Koteas was born on March 11, 1961. In Chicago PD, he portrayed Detective Alvin Olinsky, a veteran cop with a tough exterior and a complicated, deeply loyal character. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 53 years old. Koteas brought raw emotion and gravitas to the role, becoming a fan favorite, particularly in the emotionally charged storyline about Olinsky's struggles with his family and career. Prior to Chicago PD, he was known for roles in films like The Thin Red Line and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sadly, Elias Koteas' character Olinsky was killed off in 2018. Elias Koteas is 64 years old in 2025 and continues to take on acting roles. Sophia Bush was born on July 8, 1982. In Chicago PD, she portrayed Detective Erin Lindsay, a tough, passionate officer with a complicated past who often found herself torn between duty and her personal life. At the time of filming in 2014, she was 32 years old. Bush became widely recognized for her role in One Tree Hill, but her performance as Lindsay brought her new fame and critical acclaim. After leaving Chicago PD in 2017, she starred in Chicago Justice and pursued advocacy work. In 2025, Sophia Bush is still active in film and television and is 43 years old. Benjamin Levy Aguilar was born on June 19, 1993. He joined Chicago PD in 2021 as Officer Dante Torres, a tough but vulnerable rookie cop with a complex background. At the time of filming, he was 28 years old. Aguilar's portrayal of Torres brought a fresh dynamic to the show, blending vulnerability with determination. Before Chicago PD, he appeared in roles in Good Girls and FBI. In 2025, Benjamin Levy Aguilar is still active in television and film, and at the age of 31, he's quickly rising as a talented star in Hollywood. Brian Geraghty was born on May 13, 1975. In Chicago PD, he played Officer Sean Roman, a dedicated cop with a strong moral compass who often found himself torn between his duty and his desire for a peaceful life. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 39 years old. Geraghty brought a level of sensitivity and authenticity to the role, making Roman a relatable character. Prior to Chicago PD, he was known for his work in films like The Hurt Locker and Wind River. After leaving the show in 2016, he continued acting in both TV and film. In 2025, Brian Geraghty is 50 years old and still active in the entertainment industry. Samuel Hunt was born on October 10, 1986. In Chicago PD, he played Officer Greg Gerwitz, a rookie cop with a troubled past who was eager to prove himself in the field. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 28 years old. Hunt brought a certain charm and vulnerability to Gerwitz, though his character was ultimately written out after the first season. Prior to Chicago PD, Hunt appeared in the Playboy Club and Chicago Fire. After his time on the show, he has had recurring roles in TV series such as Chicago Med and Unbelievable. In 2025, Samuel Hunt is 38 years old and still pursuing acting. Ramona Edith Williams was born on October 21, 2008. In Chicago P.D., she portrayed Michaela Ward, the young daughter of Detective Haley Upton, who became an important part of Upton's personal storyline. At the time of filming, she was around 6 years old. Williams' portrayal of Michaela brought an emotional depth to Upton's character, especially in the context of her personal growth and struggles. Though still very young, Ramona Edith Williams has already captured hearts with her sweet yet impactful performance. In 2025, she is 16 years old and likely still in school, but poised for a bright future in acting. Lisseth Chavez was born on May 25, 1990. In Chicago P.D., she played Officer Vanessa Rojas, a determined and ambitious cop who joined the intelligence unit and quickly made her mark. At the time of filming in 2019, she was 29 years old. Chavez brought energy and a fresh dynamic to the show, with her character facing personal challenges while striving to prove herself in a male-dominated environment. After her time on Chicago P.D., she appeared in The Rookie and other projects. In 2025, Lisseth Chavez is still actively pursuing her career and is 35 years old. Geraghty was born on September 19, 1972. In Chicago P.D., he portrayed Assistant State's Attorney, ASA Steve Cott, a dedicated but often morally conflicted prosecutor who worked closely with the intelligence unit. At the time of filming in 2014, he was 42 years old. Geraghty's portrayal of Cott highlighted the complex nature of the legal system and the challenges faced when seeking justice. After Chicago P.D., he continued to take on roles in both TV and film, including appearances in The Good Fight and Empire. In 2025, Geraghty is 52 years old and remains active in acting. Stella Maeve was born on November 14, 1989. In Chicago P.D., she played Nadia Decotis, a young and ambitious officer who struggled with balancing her personal life and her career in law enforcement. At the time of filming in 2014, she was 24 years old. Maeve's portrayal of Nadia was integral to early storylines involving the intelligence unit, but her character tragically met an end in Season 3. Prior to Chicago P.D., Maeve appeared in The Magicians and Law and Order SVU. In 2025, Stella Maeve is 35 years old and continues to have a successful career in both TV and film. Markie Post was born on November 4, 1950. In Chicago P.D., she portrayed Barbara Bunny Fletcher, the complicated and often unpredictable mother of Detective Aaron Lindsay. At the time of filming, she was 63 years old. Post brought a mix of vulnerability and sharp wit to the role, playing a character who was both a source of tension and emotional depth in Aaron's storyline. Prior to Chicago P.D., Markie Post was best known for her roles in Night Court and The Fall Guy. Sadly, Markie Post passed away on August 7, 2021, at the age of 70 after a battle with cancer. Nick Gehlfuss was born on January 21, 1985. In Chicago Med, he portrays Dr. Will Halstead, the skilled and compassionate doctor who often finds himself at odds with his personal and professional life. Though not a Chicago P.D. regular, his character is closely tied to the One Chicago universe, particularly through his relationship with Detective J. Halstead. At the time of filming, he was 29 years old. Gehlfuss' portrayal of Will has earned him recognition for both his emotional depth and his natural chemistry with the ensemble cast. In 2025, Nick Gehlfuss is 40 years old and continues to be a major part of Chicago Med, where he has cemented his role as one of the show's leading characters. Toya Turner was born on June 21, 1985. In Chicago P.D., she portrayed Kiana Cook, a character who briefly crossed paths with the intelligence unit in a few episodes. At the time of filming, she was 29 years old. While Kiana Cook was not a central figure on the show, Toya Turner's performance left a mark with her compelling presence. Turner has appeared in other TV series and films, gaining recognition for her versatile acting style. In 2025, Toya Turner is 39 years old and continues to work in both television and theater, expanding her range in the entertainment industry. Barbara Eve Harris was born on March 8, 1959. In Chicago P.D., she played Emma Crowley, a key figure in the Chicago universe, who was a significant part of the storylines involving the intelligence unit. At the time of filming, she was 55 years old. Harris's portrayal of Emma was intense and layered, adding depth to the show's more complex and mysterious cases. Prior to Chicago P.D., Harris had an extensive career in both TV and film, including appearances in The Mentalist and The West Wing. In 2025, Barbara Eve Harris is 66 years old and continues her career in acting. Archie Kao was born on December 14, 1968. In Chicago P.D., he played Sheldon Jean, the tech-savvy intelligence unit member who assisted with the team's investigations by providing crucial surveillance and digital expertise. At the time of filming, he was 45 years old. Kao's portrayal of Jean added a unique dynamic to the team with his quiet intelligence and understated strength. Prior to Chicago P.D., he was known for roles in CSI Crime Scene Investigation and The Kitchen. Sadly, Sheldon Jean's character was written out in Season 2 after a tragic event. In 2025, Archie Kao is 56 years old and continues to pursue acting roles. David Eigenberg was born on May 17, 1964. In Chicago Fire, he plays Christopher Herman, the veteran firefighter and heart of Truck 51, known for his quick wit, leadership, and fatherly nature. Though primarily associated with Chicago Fire, Herman's character occasionally crosses over into Chicago P.D. as part of the One Chicago franchise. At the time of filming, he was 50 years old. Eigenberg's portrayal of Herman made him a beloved figure in the series, with fans appreciating his blend of humor and heart. In 2025, David Eigenberg is 60 years old and still a staple in the One Chicago universe, appearing regularly in Chicago Fire. Sara Bues was born on April 18, 1986. In Chicago P.D., she played Assistant State's Attorney, ASA Nina Chapman, a smart and determined prosecutor who worked closely with the intelligence unit on several high-stakes cases. At the time of filming, she was 28 years old. Bues brought a mix of professionalism and emotional depth to the role, often navigating the ethical complexities of her job. Prior to Chicago P.D., she had roles in The Red Line and other TV series. In 2025, Sara Bues is 39 years old and continues her work in both television and film. Thanks for watching. See you next time.